Hi, this is Martin McCabe, and this is my screencast for distributed programming CA2. So basically what I'm going to do first is do a quick run through of my project and then talk through the code. So the basic layout of the program hasn't changed much, only in this case we're entering in a port number instead of an IP address. As you can see, the layout is exactly the same. Oh, unfortunately, the problem we're having in our first project is still in this one. Like the online user lists sometimes get cleared, including the offline ones. It's weird because the ones on the private message panel never seem to clear, just the ones on the chat panel. So if you send a message, it still shows up properly from each user. You can change name. And change password. Changing password doesn't really update here because it would be kind of weird if everyone would see your password. I'll just change everything back to the default because I've included in the readme of what the username and passwords are just for sample logins. I'll put in a third user so you can see the weirdness that occurs when these clear themselves. So you can see it there, there's no point. That's a quick overview of the project. Now I guess I'll talk you through the code. Okay, so in the client, not too much has changed except for in the update and some of the action perform methods, because we're no longer using sockets. So I had to take out all of the socket based or socket related code and change it with the ORMI. Where are we? There, update client. This is basically what was happening in the update thread, where it was listening for anything coming back from the server. Now it's easier to control because it's not really multi-threaded as such. So any update is only really called when a user clicks on a button on the client. Yeah, so some of the changes to the client are, I have a static method called update client that allows the server to update the client just to clear any arrays and such. Update message area is the main chat area, so that in the server can add text to that and update it on the client. And then get username and set username is basically what you would expect. The main changes from the last CA are to the server because of all of the protocol functionality that's changed. The actual server file is a lot different to CA1, where it's just basically connecting to the method stub for ORMI. There's the interface for the server. Get client list, get offline client list, and get online client list are mainly used on the client side. Sorry, I just lost my screen. Hopefully you can see where that is. Yeah, so those three methods are basically used on the client to update the the user lists. Save messages are used on the private message panel to display all the private messages that have been sent from a specific user. Update arrays clears out all the arrays and then re-adds in current online and offline users. Update chat is the method that sends messages to the main chat screen on the client. Add private messages adds a private message to the database. And then log in and log out, do what you'd expect. They check the database for any user with that same username and password, and if it's there you log in, otherwise you have to enter in a different username and password. Log out removes the user from the array and then resets the arrays on the client side, so it removes from that. Change username and password searches the database for your old username, and if it finds it, it sets it to a new username. Change password is the same only with the password. Update all basically clears all the arrays and resets them to the new information. Compare array lists is just basically comparing two array lists, finding duplicates and removing them from one. Basically the difference from the first project using sockets to this project using OMI was, in the socket application I really didn't have to touch any of the protocol stuff, so coming to this project I felt like I was at a huge disadvantage not knowing really what was going on in the protocol side of stuff, because I focused mainly on the client and the GUI and then taking information from the server and putting it into its respective places on the GUI. I think in the future, just for the sake of, if this is going to be the same project, then the first project should probably also be individual so that the person knows exactly what's going on when they come into this one. Once I figured out the protocol, it was a lot easier than the first project. I think Brian said the same thing to me. As far as testing goes, it was mainly to do with that those what are they called? Those online and offline models not updating properly, and then I was having some problems with changing username because of the way I was register there. The way I was setting client name before I actually tried to change username, so it wasn't actually updating in the database even though I assumed it was. Change password worked from the get-go because I just laid it out properly from the start. Private messages hasn't changed from the socket based one because we still have the private message class, so it still uses that on the server. Same for the saved messages, that's probably do a private messaging as well. I think that's everything. Thanks for watching.